Welcome, IT changemakers, to the DEX Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello, changemakers. Welcome back to the DEX show within a show within a show. You know what it is. It's those episodes of Reality Bytes where we get to speak to fascinating fellow Nexthinkers. And it's an interesting process, I have to say. Sometimes you find guests in unexpected ways. This guest I'm about to introduce, actually, we got him on the show because just had a really interesting conversation with him. And I thought he had a really unusual and interesting role. His name is Nicolo Raffaele, Head of Corporate Development here at Nexthink. Nicolo, how did I do with your name there? Was that okay? Was it acceptable?
Well, for the UK standard, you did exceptionally well.
Oh, exceptionally well for the UK standard. That's a backhanded compliment or a forehanded insult. I don't know, but I appreciate it, man. Thank you for being kind, and welcome to the show, sir. And it's true. We were chatting in the London office, and I was like, "Wow, this is such an interesting role." So first of all, tell the listeners what it is and what it entails, please.
Well, I mean, first of all, excited to be here. Sorry, I have
good.
to say I had written it down. So, but look, yes, head of corporate development, which entails many things here at Nexthink. I think more than in other companies. But basically, what I deal with is our M&A strategy, which I think is a great news because it means that we are ambitious, we're trying to grow, but also given what I see outside in the market, also to inform, call it product strategy. So what we can do with our product, with what I see, whether it's competitors, new businesses, cool stuff to add in. I call it cultivate relationships in a sense with the broader investor community, our shareholders, and very talented founders, advisors around the world. And I also, as you might know, there was no one before me to have this role. So I also need to set up all the processes and to standardize a bit, call it what I do also for the future.
Yeah, love it. Great description. And I told you listeners we had an interesting guest. This is an interesting area. And how did you tell us a bit about your background and how you found your way into this career path and into this role, and indeed into you're a fellow Londoner now, right? As well.
Yeah, I've been a Londoner for 9 years, so very happy. Except the fact that no one gets my name right. I think
Got it. Yes.
it's a good experience. So look, in terms of my background, I think I always liked two things really, which was technology and math. So and that's how I basically started my career actually in finance. So I was part of an investment bank, and I wanted to go as soon as possible into technology and see technology companies and work with founders. So I then moved to investing. So I was an investor in technology B2B businesses for a few years. And what I realized was like, look, it was great to advise founders and see them in that pivotal moment in their life, right? When you maybe buy or sell a business. But, I also wanted to be in the between, and see how things were done on a day-to-day basis and call it as part of my remit. Nexthink was a company that popped up, seemed like an amazing opportunity, and so Pedro, the team. So I met them, and it was great that I could in a sense put together all my passions and try to apply them here.
Very cool. And look, I hate to spring this on you, but I was on your LinkedIn page, right? And I saw one other thing. It was like a license to be a football agent.
Yeah.
So is that something you dabbled with in the past? Is that something you gave a real go? Or
Well, yeah. No, look. Unfortunately, I'm a terrible football player.
okay,
Like the worst football
the
player.
worst, Italy's worst. Yeah.
But keen avid football watcher. I think I watch at least 5 games per week, if not more.
Oof.
And on the side, I'm also, I don't know if you know this game, but it's a geeky game. It's called Football Manager. So I'm also a good player of that. And so, look, before going to uni, I was like, what if I try to do something
Sure.
else, right? And so I always loved this idea to be close to football, and you can get basically licensed by FIFA to be a football agent, which is what I did. Then what did I do with it? Pretty much nothing. I mean, if you go if you go online, you find 2 interviews because there's not many of us. So journalists call to get info on players, what we think about players, what we think about the market. But no, definitely great. And who knows? Maybe in 10 years I'll become an agent. Who knows?
For sure, for sure. Who's do you have an adopted London team, Nicola? Who's it?
Yes, I used to live in Chelsea for quite a while, and I was close to the stadium. So I have to say Chelsea, and you know, yes, I root for Inter Milan, and Jose Mourinho used to be Chelsea coach. Then he came with us. We won the treble with him, so definitely was close to my heart.
And he wasn't a very good footballer either, back in the day. So
True,
as a model of someone you get into the game without having the the
True,
actual
no,
skill with your feet. It was true, right? That wasn't his thing. He was the
yeah. Today it looks like it's not his thing again.
right. Yeah.
But there's a few yes that don't come from the traditional football path.
But we digress. There's a good digression. That's interesting to know. But let's get back to where you work now, which is also very interesting. I would call it that intersection of strategy, finance, and product innovation. And just to get into that a little bit, how do you differentiate between, let's say, short-term market noise and the long-term industry shifts that truly matter? And I guess this gets to the essence of you being successful in your role, right?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I need to think of an answer.
All right, okay, pause it for a minute.
In general, um, I think I'm very fortunate because I come at a time which is great for this company and for the industry more broadly, right? So we had Gartner and Forrester Gartner to publish the Magic Quadrant. We are in a very, call it, enviable, but also a position that we need to keep, which is the one of the clear leader in the space, which means that already a lot of noise, has been settled, and there is a clear direction in what we're doing, right? So this is the first one. So call it double down on what we're doing. We know is gonna have a lasting success for us. Whether it's expanding, you might have seen we went now to VDI, we're going to mobile, and so expanding on what we have, doubling down, making sure that IT has the least problems, the employees are the most productive and focused and do not have friction. Uh, it's already a big task to achieve, but where we have, call it, I would say, sure success in a sense ahead. And then more in general, of course, as you know, as a company, we are very product driven, innovation driven. So we want to expand, beyond what we've been doing. And that's also why I'm here. I think there are many ways. I'm not going to spoil anything, but what I can tell you is that definitely how do you separate the noise from the long lasting success? I mean, it's kind of a simple answer, but the long lasting success gives you value for a long time, right? So when you it's like when you see with every market adoption, right? Now for instance AI, right? And then we started to use AI with anything from writing emails, and for instance AI is going to be a long-term success. Now is every application that we use today of AI going to be a long-lasting success? No. Something we're going to drop, something we're going to adopt. It's like when crypto and NFTs came around 4 years ago, and people were exchanging pictures for thousands and thousands of dollars. Did it have a value? Not really, because the only value there was if somebody was going to pay more for it the day after, right? So that is something that goes down. But in terms of what we are doing and what we can do, and again, not going to spoil what we're going to do. I think there is a lot of long-lasting success that we will achieve.
And I got to ask, Nicola, did you buy an NFT? Did you go for it? How many NFTs did you buy?
Friends of mine bought. You need to know that I'm a very, how can I say, I'm a very conservative person myself. So
this is reassuring for every Nexthinker. He didn't buy any
Yeah.
NFTs, like a whole
Yeah, no, I
stack.
don't own any NFT, any crypto. No.
Yeah, I
Well, I
have to
forgot.
say that.
I forgot to say. So, Nicola, obviously, everyone who listens to this knows that it's not just me who gets to ask questions of our guests on these Reality Bites episodes. We have our fellow Reality Bites panelists as well. We had to rearrange this call, and we're not sure if Dina's able to join at this present moment. We hope she is, but we know that Megan is here with us, and I know Megan's got some great questions for you as well.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, Nicolo. And I have to say, I also have. It makes you feel more confident knowing you did not cave to the NFT trend because, yeah,
imagine
even
if
as
he was sat there with a whole
even as not a.
portfolio of worthless NFTs. It would be
I
alarming
hope
stuff, wouldn't it? We'd have to
our
edit it out.
listeners aren't all. Yeah. I hope our listeners aren't all NFT fans because I have to say when that happened I was like, you're kidding, right? But it's a JPEG anyway. Bringing it back to Nexthink. We had Sam Gantner on here recently on Reality Bites for his now annual tradition of coming with us to let us pester him with questions, and we asked him about how he gathers market insight and research, like when they're working on what to do next with our products, and how much that influences, the product strategy. So I think given that obviously market awareness is a big part of your role here for the company, what is your process for staying ahead of market industry trends? How do you keep up with what's happening day to day?
Sure. So look, I'll tell you, first of all, it's an art and not a science. First of all, I would say, um, the way, for this, I think the most important thing I can do in my role is to bring, call it, high quality information and opportunities uh, before other people get to it, right? In a sense. And so, if I were to look at it, call it an outside in view, then you can get information in two ways. Like you can push for information, you can pull for information. Like, either you find them or people, give them to you. So that's, and I tend to split my time on those. And if you want on the push, there's many sources, right? The first one, I think I'm an avid Googler now turned into an avid chat GPTer, and and guess what? Sometimes it's just the sheer amount of time that you put into things. To look for information. I'll give you also a little secret. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has an amazing engine to put similar companies together. And so sometimes you really start from a post of somebody, maybe of an interesting founder, and you go on and you find interesting, for instance, M&A opportunities, interesting market trends. And one thing that by the way, also in this, that I tend to be quite focused in what I search, for instance, for us in terms of new opportunities, but I love to have a little bit of serendipity, because sometimes, the best things actually they come, from not looking exactly, in one direction. And these are the stuff that you get that other people don't get. So I tend to put a little bit of randomness in any search I do. I read a lot, obviously, whether you have publications like Garner, obviously, are super helpful for my job. The problem I have though is because it's such high quality information and it's so vetted, is that I read it, but it means everybody else in our market reads it, right? So that doesn't give me really a competitive advantage, but it gives me, an opportunity to see what's great and what very intelligent people think is going to happen, for instance, in our sector. And then the third one, and probably the most important one, is connections, connections, connections. It's like it's really connecting the dots through people in a sense. Like, I know other investors from my previous job. I connect with people all the time on LinkedIn. I send a random hi. I set up coffees and stuff like that. I mean, that's how I met Tom, by the way. That's why I'm here today. And that gives you the best opportunities. By the way, that those are the ones because you already establish, some sort of connection that is much stronger than just having the piece of information. And that's also how I joined Nexthink, by the way. And then you have the pool. The pool means, making sure that we advertise ourselves in the right way, in the right channel, that I make sure that, if I post something is visible, that if I post something, if I say something, the right people see it. And so I can get high quality information, and That's great because it's less intensive than looking for it. And so that's also what I'm doing. For instance, for Nexthink, I connected with many advisors, whether it's M&A consultants, friends that work in similar companies, and very often, probably once per day, I get information from them, or shall we do something together, or there is this opportunity. Have you looked at it? And again, same as I do with the push, also with the pull, I leave a lot of serendipity actually there. So people that you don't think are gonna be relevant to you, opportunities that don't think are gonna be relevant to you, you put some time, you try to be helpful. Sometimes it's just not for us, and then over time things sort themselves out.
Cool. I really like that idea of serendipity, like leaving space for the serendipity amongst all of the other strategies. That's an interesting insight. I like that a lot. You mentioned a couple times, like in our space and in our industry. So thinking about DEX as an industry and the space that we kind of take up, how would you describe, since you've joined, the market in 2025? You talked about reading Gartner. Obviously, we had a big year last year. What kind of challenges as the market, the place that it's in right now, what challenges does this present for you and your role?
Well, the reality is, I wouldn't call them challenges to begin with. I mean, we're full of opportunities, and you can see it in, first of all, you can see the publications, what the public, what the analysts say about us, and it's great. And as I said, it's high quality information that many clients read it. New prospective, long tenure clients, and it's just buzzing, with good energy and good enthusiasm. So I would say that's a great positive. If you want again, it's not the challenge, it's really the opportunities that we have so much to do. And I think one statistic that I have in mind, I think it's like 66% or something, it's white space index. It's people that should be our clients but are not yet. Which means we have to work a lot, right? We have to call people, meet people, uh, continue to evangelize the product, double down on new features, double down on M&A, on growing the business. But again, it's not a challenge because the reality is there is quite a secure way, a secure path in which the every increment of 10% we put of effort, actually we can get a magnified outsized return. So I think 2025, 2026, they're gonna be amazing years for the company, and it's up to us basically to roll up our sleeves. It's up to me. It's up to everyone in this call to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's you're exactly spot on to what I've been hearing too, about that white space, and it's just like so rich with opportunities. So it's cool to hear that optimism.
Actually, if I can also add the thing, a
Yeah.
cautionary tale though, if we don't put that 10% more, trust me that somebody else is ready to do it, because we're not the only name on that magic wave,
Hmm.
right? So the
Yeah.
same way we see this green field, they all see it. So we are in pole position, so we should better make sure that we arrive first.
Yeah. So that actually leads nicely into my next question. Thinking then about all that that green space, I think one way that we move into that, right, is by being kind of ahead of the curve in terms of what we're investing in from a product standpoint. So when you're evaluating our R&D investment and like what we're actually focusing on a business, there are so many directions we could go in. What sort of frameworks or criteria do you use if you're making recommendations in that area?
Yeah. So it's a pretty good question, by the way. And I'm here in Lausanne actually, and that's what we've been doing this week. We all had product meetings, and what's new, what can come. So I think it's a very relevant one. Definitely, we are a very innovative and product driven company. So trust me, we are trying to do many things. I think in general, what's important to Nexthink as a business, and you might have seen it. Basically in 20 years we did one acquisition, right? So everything we built is pretty much ourselves. Is that we are not looking for quick wins, right? So when we look at our R&D investments, we look at something that potentially can bring the whole of Nexthink to the next level. Meaning, if I have an opportunity, for instance, in M&A, in my case, to bring few millions here and there, or like also to buy a sizable company that is not aligned to a more innovative future, we're not going to do it. If I find cool technologies, and again, I don't want to spoil anything, but cool technologies that can help and that are adjacent to what we do, it can make us much stronger in the future. And for instance, call it AI definitely is in our future. Agentic AI is definitely in our future, and how we help IT and other departments with that. That's been pretty much some of the discussion. We're gonna do it. So for us, when we make any case, right? It's like, do we buy, do we make, for instance, or do we not do it, right? So, but once we decide that we do something, first of all, we are very, very competent people in the company, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to such uh, intelligent people, I have to say, that develop great things. So I think if there is a Nexthink way to do things, we first try to make it ourselves. But definitely there are many other cool, intelligent founders out there that would benefit from what we built, and for us to really accelerate. Uh, I know I've answered, but I've also not answered. In reality, all I'm saying is that again, when we look at how we spend, we wanna build a big, bold business in the next few years. So we don't take any quick wins.
I love
Well,
that vision.
as much as we want a great podcast episode, Nicolo, we don't want to hand our competitors like the keys to our strategy either. We got to strike a balance. Sorry, Megan.
No problem. I was going to jump to the next bit. It looks like Dina may have been able to join. She's been having some technical issues for the listeners of the pod. But Dina, if you want to hop in with a couple questions.
I'm here. It's the Zscaler, the beauty of Zscalers, and the connecting, disconnecting. Technology needs technology to be fixed. So, Nicole, in a company like Nexthink, there's always a balance to strike between incremental innovation and more disruptive, high upside bets, right? How do you navigate that trade-off, ensuring both steady progress and bold moves that keep the company ahead?
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of need to do both, right? So I think that there's no right mix. What I can tell you, at least from the way I think about things in general, is that if you do not disrupt, you get disrupted at some point, right? So the reality is, already if you look at Nexthink and what's consolidated in Nexthink, so right, the staple products that have brought us in the last 20 years, those are also a little bit disruptive. So, we are the forward thinkers in DEX, and at the same time, so call it, there's no, I don't think we see such things as, something that is, old, but, let's say it's a cash cow for the company, and something that is disruptive, and so, it's a money pit or something, it's kind of combined. So definitely, of course, we have a core which we have built, but also that core is forward thinking, is always getting updated. There's a lot of spend in what we do, and in general, I think you always need to have 25%, 30% of what you're doing should be a little bit of a bet, but Alf quote me on that. And I'm just saying, everything has to be made. Also, the stuff that we think, it's our staple and it's our core, has to be forward thinking. Because while in this room, let's say if we take good pride, and if we are content with what we're doing, again, there are people out there that are ready to disrupt us, right? So that's what I think should be the mentality.
True. And lastly, what do you like most about your job, and what is its biggest challenge?
Well, that's a great one. I would say what I love the most is I don't know how to put it in English. Let me think about it. I want to say is the responsibility in a sense, but not. It's kind of, there is a lot to do. There is a lot of possibilities here. So there is the opportunity, to do great things. I think whatever we have done, like, we can do 10x more, right? And we have been, I would say, quite a unique story, whether it's here in Switzerland, in Lausanne, where we started, the whole expansion in the US, and we are, I've seen other companies, I've been in other companies. This is a special one. So I really believe in it, and we have the power. So I feel the power and the opportunity to do great things. And that's what I love the most. So, that I can really go around, I can have very interesting conversations, but also very ambitious conversations. And everybody, knows, the people that have been here for longer than me, know that they've done a great job, but they know that, we have much bigger things ahead. So everybody's very focused on that. And you said what I don't like about a job, I think, or
no, it was about a challenge. Nico. We don't want to suddenly make you.
As I said before, there's no challenges, there's opportunities. But no, the reality is, on the opposite side, I also feel a lot the responsibility again to make it happen, because I do think that the opportunity is amazing. And so, I'm really spending. People have seen me around the office at all the time, and on Teams, you will find me always green, because again, there's so much to do, so much to achieve, and it's on site. So, so I feel the responsibility to really bring it forward as fast as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it was a small crew today for various reasons. I'm glad you could join us at VMware, Dina. But lucky us, mate, because that was really one of the most enjoyable and insightful Reality Bytes I have the privilege to record. It was a lot of fun to hear about your role, Nicolo, and best of luck with all that responsibility, man. We're looking forward to seeing the direction we take in the coming years.
Yeah, no, best of luck to all of us. Huh?
Yeah, to all of us, absolutely. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Have a good day.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.